Friends, listen to me. We just witnessed literally the biggest day in Canadian football history. I mean, a first-ever World Cup victory, and we're not just talking about squeaking by with a lucky win here. We are talking about a jaw-dropping 6-0 absolute demolition. We've got a Jonathan David hat-trick, a second tournament goal for Cyle Larin, 2 red cards for Qatar, a horrific injury that literally stopped the entire stadium in its tracks, and a whole nation celebrating right there on home soil. Okay, grab a seat because we are going to dive straight into this explainer and break down exactly how Canada created history tonight at BC Place.
Now, to truly wrap your head around the magnitude of this victory, we've kind of got to look at the past. See that number 3 right there? Before the guys stepped onto the pitch in Vancouver, Canada had only ever played in 2 previous World Cups, back in 1986 and recently in 2022. And across both of those entire tournaments, 0 wins. Yep. And the total all-time World Cup goals for the entire nation, exactly 3. So you can imagine, the pressure coming into this match was just immense.
But then, in just 90 minutes of football, they took this monumental leap. They went from 3 all-time goals all the way to 9. Let that sink in. They literally tripled their historical World Cup goal tally in a single night. And they did it with Prime Minister Mark Carney watching right there in the stands. The Canadian men's national team, led by coach Jesse Marsch, well, they didn't just break their curse, they absolutely shattered it into a million pieces.
So, let's look at how this all played out. Act 1, the underdog's breakthrough.
Coming off a 1-1 draw against Bosnia, Canada was so eager to prove themselves. And man, that first half, it was an absolute onslaught. They pressed incredibly high, putting a Qatari side who, remember, had just managed a draw against Switzerland under total siege right from the opening whistle. Boom, 16th minute. Jonathan David fires a powerful shot. Qatar's keeper, Mahmoud Abunada, manages to parry it, but veteran striker Cyle Larin is right there. He pounces on the rebound instantly, burying his second goal of the tournament to make it 1-0. Then, 29th minute. A cross comes whipping into the box, and Jonathan David strikes this thunderous right-footed volley. First time, 0 hesitation. 2-0. And right before the half, deep into stoppage time at 45+3, a shot off the crossbar leads to this frantic scramble, and David just pokes it in for his brace. 3-0. And the halftime whistle hasn't even blown yet.
Actually, let's pause for a quick second on that 29th minute volley. Because for Jonathan David, this wasn't just a goal. This was deeply personal. This beautiful strike officially ended a more than year-long open-play goal drought for the Atletico Madrid star. He'd been heavily relying on penalties and set pieces, but this fluid, stunning strike from open play, it proved the drought is officially over. I'm telling you, the stadium at BC Place literally shook from the fans' reaction.
Moving on to Act 2, chaos and heartbreak.
You know, football is a wildly unpredictable game. Just as Canada was surfing this massive wave of euphoria, the middle chunk of this match took a really dark, chaotic turn. The shift in momentum started bubbling up in the 33rd minute. Qatar's Homa Mahmed lunges into this really dangerous tackle on Canada's Tajan Buchanan. At first, the ref points straight to the penalty spot, but after a tense VAR check, they figure out the foul was actually just outside the box. The drama definitely didn't end there, though. VAR upgraded his yellow card to a straight red because of how dangerous that challenge was. So suddenly, Qatar is down to 10 men with a full hour left to play. It completely halted any chance they had of finding a rhythm.
And then we reach the absolute darkest moment of the match, right in the early second half. Qatar's Asim Madibo goes in for this incredibly reckless late challenge on Sassuolo midfielder Ismaël Koné. Koné went down immediately, and it was bad. The players surrounding him were visibly shaken. It was just incredibly sobering. Koné actually had to be given an oxygen mask and was carried off the field on a stretcher. Coach Jesse Marsch later confirmed the absolutely heartbreaking news. Koné suffered a fractured fibula and tibia. It's a tournament-ending injury. A really harsh, stark reminder that underneath all the glory and the lights, the player's health and safety absolutely has to come first.
For that horrific tackle, Madibo was shown a straight red card. I mean, this was absolute disaster territory for Qatar. They were now reduced to just 9 men on the pitch. 9! Their captain, Kuki, who, if you remember, was the total hero in their previous match against Switzerland, he just looked completely helpless. He's out there trying to organize a defense, missing 2 crucial players against a Canadian attack that just would not stop.
Which brings us to Act 3, resurrection and history.
But you know what? The Canadian squad did not let that heartbreak derail them. Not a chance. Instead, they dedicated the rest of the match to Ismaël Koné. And the symbolism here is just, it's incredible.
In the 64th minute, Nathan Saliba, the exact substitute who came on directly to replace Koné, steps up to take a free kick. He strikes it, and with absolutely zero chance for the goalkeeper, Saliba curls this brilliant, majestic shot right into the top corner. It's 4-0. But honestly, more importantly, it was the absolute perfect, immediate tribute to his injured teammate.
And from there, the momentum just kept rolling downhill. In the 75th minute, a complete defensive breakdown for the 9-man Qatari side leads to their goalkeeper, Abu Nakada, trying to save a shot. But the ball deflects really awkwardly off his own teammate, Mohamed Manai. An own goal makes it 5-0. Qatar was thoroughly broken at this point, but guess what? Canada still wasn't done.
To cap off this absolute masterclass, Jonathan David decided to give us 3 entirely different styles of goals. Step 1 was that thunderous first-time volley we talked about. Step 2 was the gritty, scrappy poke right before the half. And finally, deep into stoppage time at 90 plus 2 minutes, David makes one last run, receives the ball, and delivers this beautifully composed finish right past the keeper to make it 6-0. Just a complete top-tier striker's performance.
And that 92nd minute goal, that cemented his legacy forever. Jonathan David became the first ever Canadian player to score a World Cup hat-trick. Are you kidding me? The stadium erupted into absolute delirium. You had Jesse Marsch violently pumping his fists on the sidelines, and with that hat trick, David vaulted right to the very top of the tournament's Golden Boot race. He is now tied with none other than Lionel Messi.
When that final whistle finally blew, the record books were completely, utterly rewritten. Just listen to this staggering list of achievements. It's Canada's first ever World Cup win. It's the biggest winning margin by any CONCACAF nation in World Cup history. It's the first Canadian World Cup hat-trick. Oh, and a 6-0 scoreline? That equals the biggest win by a World Cup host nation ever, tying historical legends like Italy back in 1934, Brazil in 1950, and Argentina in 1978. Just wow.
So what does all this actually mean for the rest of the tournament? Well, looking at the Group B standings, both Canada and Switzerland now sit dead even at the top of the table with 4 points each. Qatar is obviously left trailing far behind. So this sets up an absolutely massive winner-takes-all grand finale for the group stage on June 24th in Vancouver. Canada and Switzerland are going to go head-to-head for total group dominance, and it is going to be electric.
What a night for Canadian football, right? A true defining moment for the sport in North America. But hey, I want to turn it over to you. Which moment from this historic 6-0 thrashing was your absolute favorite? Was it Larin setting the tone early with that quick rebound? Was it David finally breaking his drought with that absolute thunderous volley? Or was it the sheer, raw emotion of Saliba's brilliant free kick tribute for Koné? Think about it, let those moments sink in, and keep that excitement alive as we move forward in this unbelievable tournament. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.